running. But love is blind. Good afternoon, Toastmasters, guests. I'm here to tell you about my best friend's wedding. Smita and I were classmates at school. She originally studied at Ooty, but then in the 9th grade decided to come over to Bangalore. Maybe her parents wanted to spend time with her. When I discovered that we had something in common, that her dad and my dad were both classmates in school, I was even overjoyed. Smita and I got to become good friends in a very short span of time. Within a few months of joining school, she had fractured her leg. In fact, she had a multiple fracture. She had problems moving around, but then she got out of it finally, and then she was a little at ease or had this disability of being able to participate in sports activities, something that she did back at Ooty. And she would express her disappointments on and off to me. This went on, and finally, Hindi was one thing that she could never ever tackle. She would come to my mom and say, "Auntie, please just help me with this. If I only pass." Tackling the wrath of Mrs. Madan, our Hindi teacher, was such a Herculean task. Finally, the ICSE board exams, and Smita somehow managed to clear the exam and pass. Whew, that was one thing that we were able to finish. At that time, Smita, whose father itself is a very well-known builder in Bangalore, prosperity, of course, was something that always came in. Decided that she needed to be able to mix around with people. She got into the science stream at Mount Carmel's in pre-university, and that's when she also decided to be able to spend time with friends at the gym and then meet a few more people. It was a time when she wanted to date, something that she didn't get to do when she was in hostel. So, this newfound freedom got her to actually start dating. Not one, not two, but she had a couple of friends, though she never got to see all of them together. Here was Smita finding great amount of joy in maybe bunking classes at times and hanging around with friends. To give you a brief overview of Smita and her background: parents, staunch Catholics, very God-fearing. She came from a family with 3 other siblings, an older brother and a younger brother and a sister. And here was Smita going around with a Parsi guy, and she used to come very often to my place, go out, sometimes invite me over and say, "Hey, why don't you come with us?" At that time, I didn't have a date. So one day, I remember going with her for a rain dance to the country club. And she tells me, "Dhruti, you better pack, a towel, a change of clothes." So at home, my folks were wondering, what is she taking a change of clothes for? And all I heard from my aunt, who was also like a guardian to me at times, saying, "You better be careful about what you're doing. Just don't get yourself into trouble." And I didn't know a lot of this. So I took this towel and a change of clothes with me, put it into a bag, and it was the first time I was experiencing a rain dance. For those of you who don't know what a rain dance is, it's essentially where they have these crisscross sprinklers. It's like a sprinkler irrigation system, really, where fools really go underneath, and at the banging music, they're probably dancing there. But it was great fun. All of us enjoyed it. And when we went there was Smita sitting in the front seat next to the guy, and she put me in the back seat along with one of her friends whom she said, happened to be my date for that evening. And we were sitting at the back there, wondering, because they had taken this towel and had created a bit of a partition for themselves. I'm sure you know what was happening in the front seat. I did get a little bit, bewildered, wondering what Smita was really doing. And then a few days later, not knowing how to broach a topic, but girls being girls and with all their curiosity elements, I went up to her and I asked her, I said, Smita, you really, are you sure, you're doing the right thing, or is this, something? She says, yeah, don't worry, and stuff like that. He's my friend, and it's okay anyway. So I said, okay, that's fine. Just be careful. Finally, this was all happening probably in the first PUC. When we came to the second pre-university, things began to become a little tougher. All of us knew we needed to get into degrees, and Smita never really spent time with in school. She bunked classes endlessly, and then when it came to getting entry into the degree, she wasn't able to clear her second PUC course. So here was Smita trying to look to get into degree, whereas I got myself into business management. And it was for 2 whole years that I never heard anything from Smita. Somebody who was a good friend, had confided in me, never heard anything from her. Umpteen calls, tried to reach her, there was no Facebook, her mobiles never went unanswered. She called me once and said, so what have you been doing? She said, yeah, I've been going to the gym, etc. So I said, what's happening? Have you been seeing somebody recently? She says, yeah, I have been, but I'll tell you a little bit more about it. And then, all of a sudden, one fine day, to my utter shock, below my door, the door of our house, I see a wedding invitation pushed underneath and says, Smita weds Anand. She was only 18 and a half. And I said, what's happening? I said, here am I trying to be in college, trying to do something, and here was my best friend on the verge of getting married. What's happening? I pinched myself that evening. And the wedding was only 3 days to go. It was at this Chandrodaya place, which was close to Subramania Arcade, if some of you know. At that time, I didn't even know where this was, because here was I at Brigade Road, wondering how to get myself there. But I said, I have to get myself there. It's my best friend's wedding. And there I go. And then I tried to call her. She said, I'll tell you a little more, I'll tell you. When I reached there, nobody. Not her parents, not her siblings. There was nobody around. There was this girl, not knowing what she had done to herself, sitting behind in a Hindu-style wedding, marrying a Telugu person, Anand. Anand was much older. I was given to understand that it was her parental pressure that wanted him to get married so early on. And today, I just feel bad when I listen to this, because here is somebody who never got to live her youth. She never got to understand what responsibilities were and why people were enjoying their 20s. Here was Smita, having to shoulder responsibilities. And my biggest grouch today is that this was a bud which could have blossomed, it withered away. And while I today get great joy in talking about my son's fallen milk tooth, here is Smita handling Anandita and Pavna, her 2 teenage daughters, all of whom are finishing school and dealing with adolescent problems of a different kind. Over to you, Tosi.